Just imagine an Ethiopian Marxist put in power by the Chinese Communist Party in the World Health Organization, given complete authority over your life, even down to the point of what you're allowed to say. Because when you look at what the WHO did during the pandemic, if you said the wrong thing on YouTube, you were cut off. Think about how they've become the thought police, how they can control every investment. They can control climate change, so that means that you can't use natural gas in a stove. You can't drive an electric, you have to drive an electric car. You can't drive a gas-burning car. Your investments can be taken over and co-opted and directed other places to deal with a national health emergency. Every aspect of our life could be controlled, and it could happen with kind of an assent to a treaty that happens, at the end of May, start of June. This is something no one's talking about other than debunking it. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Well, you heard the no, that's not true during the pandemic. People would say, hey, masks don't work. Oh, that's not true. Well, the same people that told you masks do work also told you they don't work, and then they told you do work, then you need 5 masks, and then you need to... So all of that garbage that was thought control that locked you in your homes could be coming back on steroids. It's a complete Marxist takeover of every aspect of life. And we're talking with Frank Gaffney about the World Health Organization and a series of 2 treaties that they're looking at accepting, ratifying, the United States signing on to, whatever that means, maybe not even President Biden signing it, that could control every aspect of your life. So Frank, how do we stop this? We only have this is going to air May 2nd. How do we stop it?
Kevin, I think we need God's grace, and you're one of the greatest prayer warriors I know, so I'm urging you to invoke it and secure it. But we also need the help of the American people, and I don't have a doubt that if they understand what is actually going on here, they will recoil from it, and they will want their elected representatives, whether they're in the Senate or whether in their house or in their governor's mansions or anyplace else, to stand against it. And I think the play is this. I believe that in this election season, President Biden, or the people doing business as President Biden, his handlers, what have you, political operatives, and certainly people down ballot, I'm thinking of John Tester, for example, senator from Montana, who's up for re-election this year, are not going to find it convenient to be favoring, as part of their campaign platform, that they're in favor of surrendering the sovereignty of the American people and their nation to this unaccountable communist bureaucrat who's a cat's paw for the Chinese Communist Party. I just don't think that's going to fly, especially if, as I pray and hope, Donald Trump and others down ballot from him are going to say, I actually am in favor of preserving your sovereignty. I have actually taken, or aspire to take, an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, not to sabotage and surrender it, as my opponent does. Now, if that happens, and I think that can happen in the space of the next few weeks, because I believe the American people can become engaged, we will spare our nation an infinitely more serious departure from the principle of sovereign America, constitutional, limited government, freedom preserving, constitutional government, as I say, in favor of global governance. And that will make it possible for this vote not to be held, because I think the driving force behind this vote, frankly, on these 2 treaties has been the United States government all along. Oh, yes, the communists want it, and the World Economic Forum wants it, and Big Pharma and Bill Gates and the European Union, they all want it. But I think especially if Joe Biden were to say, sorry, we just can't do this now. This is just not going to work for the United States government. And more to the point, if he were to simply say, under the regulations themselves that are being amended here, we missed the window to give the 4 months notice, so therefore we can't go forward with this. I don't care what the pretext is. I just want this vote to be deferred. And therefore, we have a campaign that we're mounting, Kevin, with your help and many, many others in our Sovereignty Coalition and on Capitol Hill. In fact, we're doing, as we speak, a press conference in a couple of days that will unveil this campaign. We call it the Not Now campaign. Not now. Not now, meaning the end of May, early June. Not this time. There may be a future time, but not now, because it's not ready. It's not been properly vetted. There's been no opportunity for public awareness, let alone assent. And more to the point, this administration is determined not to allow the Senate, even as the representatives of the American people, to exercise the quality control that our Constitution requires. For all these reasons, we believe two things need to happen. One, that we postpone the vote, and two, we establish that the Senate will have to advise and consent before anything is done with these agreements.
So as a practical matter, now, and I agree with you, I think you'll hear debunking that this is not giving away sovereignty, even says that it doesn't take sovereignty from nations, all that. That's all garbage language that's put in there, because what it does is it circumvents the Constitution, creates an executive agreement, which causes individual states to lose their authority. Even if the federal government retains some authority, this individual states lose the authority. It's a way around the Constitution. So, Frank, what specific action steps should people take?
Let me just say, again, if you want to be clear about this, just compare and contrast whether global governance, which is what the champions of these treaties are purporting to bring about, or the kind of constitutional government that we revere. It's that simple. If it's the other, you will not have sovereignty. Kevin, we're asking people to go to sovereigntycoalition.org. There's a lot of information there. There's also action steps, one of which is to sign an Align Act campaign that will directly take you to the president and your elected representatives in the House and Senate saying, not now. That's the most important thing. We also give you an opportunity to support the idea of the Senate exercising advice and consent responsibility as well. So sovereigntycoalition.org.
Sovereigntycoalition.org. You can read all the background materials. You can see all of the things that they've proved the point that Frank has been making here. That's what you need to do.